We all tend to think of success as this nonstop upward climb. But what if I told you that the very thing that makes you successful, getting better, faster, cheaper, is actually creating a huge hidden risk? That's what we're digging into today, the optimization trap. It's this tricky pattern where looking your absolute best on the surface is actually hiding some serious strategic weakness underneath. So take a look at this. This curve really gets to the heart of the paradox. That smooth upward line, that's what every leader dreams of seeing, right? It screams well-run machine. But here's the catch. That same momentum, that same drive for perfection, often ends up hardening the entire system. It becomes so rigid that it just can't adapt when the world outside changes. So what looks like incredible progress is actually the trap closing in. Okay, so how does this whole thing even start? Well, one of the very first signs of an optimization trap is when a system seems, perfect. Your metrics are looking better every single quarter, efficiency is through the roof, everything feels incredibly stable. And of course, leaders are celebrating this moment. Why wouldn't they? But they're completely missing the risk that's quietly building up right under their noses. To really get a handle on this trap, you've got to understand that there are two competing kinds of performance. On one side, you've got what we'll call local performance. Think of this as all the measurable day-to-day stuff, your efficiencies. Then, on the other side, there's strategic performance. This is all about the system's ability to adapt, to stay relevant for the long haul. The trap gets set the moment leaders become completely focused on optimizing the local stuff, and in doing so, they totally sacrifice the strategic side. And these local metrics, you'll definitely recognize them. Cost, speed, and yield. These are the classic signs of a business running smoothly, of operational excellence. They're concrete, they're super easy to track, and when they go up, you get that immediate positive feedback. This is the language of what looks like a healthy, disciplined operation. But then you've got the strategic metrics, and they're a whole different animal. They're abstract, way harder to put a number on. We're talking about things like adaptability, optionality, and relevance. The big questions. Can we pivot if we need to? Do we have real choices for the future? Are we even solving the right problem for our customers anymore? And because these are so tough to measure, they usually get ignored until it's way too late. So here's the thing. This intense focus on local efficiency, it doesn't just ignore strategic performance. It actively works against it. It creates what's called a lock-in mechanism, basically a whole set of structures that reinforce each other, making the system harder and harder until change becomes just ridiculously expensive. This is the exact moment when optimization flips from an asset to a huge strategic liability. So what creates this lock-in? Well, it's really three things working together. First, you've got your fixed assets. Think of specialized factories or equipment that are built to do one thing and one thing only. Second, you have rigid processes, all those workflows that have been perfected over years to squeeze out every last drop of efficiency for that one single purpose. And third, and this is a big one, the incentives, the bonuses and promotions that are all tied to doing that old thing better and better. See how these three things, the assets, the processes, the incentives, they create this powerful, self-reinforcing system. When you improve one part, it actually makes the others even more rigid. And once you get to this point, changing direction isn't just hard. It's not a tweak. It literally requires you to break the entire successful machine you've built. To adapt now means you have to be willing to accept very visible, very painful losses in the short term first. But this hardening process, it isn't silent. The resistance it builds up actually starts to show up in the way people talk inside the organization. If you just listen carefully, you can actually hear the trap being set. It's in these very specific, totally predictable phrases. All right, here's the first clear signal. The moment a new idea gets shot down with, "This will hurt efficiency," pay attention. That's a huge sign that the organization's immune system is no longer looking for new opportunities. It's just designed to protect the existing process at all costs. Hitting that local, efficient peak has become the only thing that matters. Then you hear this one. "That's not how we do things." And this reveals a much deeper problem. This isn't just someone defending a process anymore. It's proof that the culture itself has hardened around old ways of doing things. Those rigid processes we talked about, they're not just workflows now, they're an unquestioned part of the company's identity. And finally, you get the financial argument. Margins will suffer. When you hear that, you're hearing the incentives speaking loud and clear.
It's the system defending the old metrics that guarantee people's bonuses. It connects the logic of the past directly to money, and that makes any kind of change seem not just difficult, but totally irrational and irresponsible.
Now, let's be really clear about something. All of these objections, they sound perfectly reasonable, don't they? I mean, defending efficiency, sticking to the process, protecting margins, that just sounds like good management. It feels like discipline, not like you're taking on risk. And that right there is exactly why so many smart, successful teams walk straight into this trap. They are logically defending the very system that made them successful in the first place, completely unaware that it's now strangling their future. So if all these warning signs just look like good discipline, how is a leader supposed to know when to step in? We've got to move past just diagnosing the problem and into a real framework for making decisions. And look, this isn't about giving you some generic advice. It's about giving you a strategic filter you can use to decide when it's time to intentionally, to purposefully break the optimization cycle. So this decision map really boils down to 3 conditions. You need to start seriously thinking about breaking optimization when, number 1, the fundamental needs of your market start to shift. Number 2, when new metrics, things like user engagement or how fast you're learning, suddenly become more important than your old ones. And number 3, when you start to notice that your old KPIs are being used as a shield to defend past success instead of as a tool to create future value. And that brings us to the final and most crucial point. Instead of just wrapping things up, I want to leave you with a single diagnostic question that you can take and apply to any system, any team, any organization. And the question is this: what does this organization truly optimize for? Is it long-term relevance or is it short-term efficiency? The answer to that question will tell you everything you need to know. It'll tell you if you're building a resilient future or if you're just busy perfecting a system that's already on its way out.